Nice view, isn't it? This GoPro cannot zoom, and the videos that I shoot and the photos I share are never ever as profoundly incredible as seeing these sights with your very own eyes in person. And a very good locust dagger to you, because in ancient times, today, Saturday, was known as Bath Day. Today is the day that my ancestors far and wide, all over Scandinavia and northern Germanic countries, set aside to take a bath, do laundry. Why? Because of Loki's treachery, the gods chained him to rocks, and they bled the venom of a poisonous serpent down upon him. In the old ways of our northern ancestors, Saturday is Bath Day. But recent updates. For those of you who do not know, I only go into town once or twice a month. Okay? I live on the edge of Gettysburg, and I spend my time on the battlefield. I don't spend my time in town. I avoid town. Town is full of trinket shops and t-shirt shops and very touristy shops and expensive restaurants. Once or twice a month, my buddy the G-Man gives me a call if he's in the state. He's not in a cabin on a freighter in the Red Sea, and he asked me if I need to go to the store to get anything. Okay, and so he called me up last week and he said, hey man, you know, I'm in town, I'm nearby, do you need anything from the store? I figured you're probably running low on supplies. And I said, yeah, that would be great. The G-Man stopped by to pick me up to take me and run my errands. Earlier today, multiple sclerosis cog fog moment. I couldn't remember that word, errands. Okay. In any event, so what I needed to do is to go to my local market and to go to the post office. I don't use banks. I don't believe in the credit system. I don't write checks, and I've never used a credit card ever in my life. I've not had a bank account or written a check since the last century. Who's practicing the old ways now? So I go to my little local market, Kenny's Market. Kenny's Market is employee owned, and I know that the majority of the produce, the meats, the vegetables, etc., are from local farms. I needed to go to the post office to get a money order to pay my rent because I don't use banks. I don't believe in usury. And if you're a Christian, you shouldn't be committing the sin of usury either. Read your Bibles. But I'm not a Christian, I'm a pagan. So, in any event, I go to the post office. I had not been in town in a month. Okay? I reside in the same zip code as Gettysburg, 17325. But I hadn't been in town in a month, so I really hadn't seen what it had been. I hadn't seen town since this virus hit the United States. Okay? And so when we went to the post office and I went in, I was in for the shock of my life. I was shocked. I couldn't believe it. Because the last time I'd been at the post office a month before, everything was very normal. The ladies in the post office all know me. They've gotten to know me for the past 7 years. And so I go in, and the entire counter area in the post office had a sheet of thick plastic from ceiling to floor. And there were tiny little squares about 4 inches by 4 inches with yellow tape around them that you had to do your transactions through. The little debit machine, which if you're on disability, you probably have a debit card like mine that links directly to your disability account at the Department of the Treasury in Washington, D.C. And so I have a debit card, and that's what I rely on to live. So in any event, every time somebody used the debit machine, the postal workers would clean it off with sanitizer. Everybody in the place was wearing medical masks, goggles, rubber gloves, and I wasn't. I felt completely out of place, and I felt completely stupid. And I was shocked. They had the yellow emergency tape on the floor where people had to stand more than 6 feet apart from each other while waiting in line. And I had realized, gratefully, how serious that people were taking this. And I realized how serious I was not taking it. And I felt really stupid and out of place that I hadn't taken any precautions. I figured, ignorantly, well, I'll just go into town. I'm just going to pick up some groceries. I'm going to go to the post office, get my money order for my rent. I set aside $100 a month to buy my groceries. So I live on about $25 a week for food. And so I went to the post office, and like I said, I was pretty freaked out. But given multiple sclerosis, I'd forgotten my debit card, so the G-man drives me back home, get my debit card to go back to the post office. And so what did I do? Grabbed my sunglasses, grabbed my gardening gloves, and I grabbed my 1862 Richmond Howitzers historically accurate reproduction of a handkerchief, okay? So I put my bandana on, my glasses, my gardening gloves, and I felt a lot safer. Because when I walked in there, I was like, you know what? I could get sick, I could die from this. It freaked me out, it totally shocked me. That's the downside. The upside is that everyone I saw in Gettysburg was taking absolute precautions, which was a really good thing. Learned my lesson. I went into the market, same deal. All of the cash registers, when you wait in the aisle to pay for your groceries, they were like plexiglass cubicles that the cashiers were inside of. Like Get Smart, Maxwell Smart, and the Cone of Silence. Okay, Agent 89. Yeah, they were in these plexiglass cubes. I had some multiple sclerosis moments in there where I'd actually about knocked the table over. I lost my balance, etc., etc. In any event, so that was my COVID-19 experience, and that's what I saw here in Gettysburg, just in the two places that I went, the grocery market and the post office. And frankly, it was pretty scary. And to be honest with you, after seeing that, I'm completely terrified to be outside. I have multiple sclerosis, hereditary hemochromatosis, chronic costochondritis, and narcolepsy. My buddy Cody up in New York, Cody the Red, hey Cody. Cody's an ambulance driver, and I was talking to him on the phone last week, and he told me what's going on up in New York State. And that was really shocking. And of course, he knows more about what's going on, and he knows more about this illness than I do. And so he gave me a bit of an education. And he told me, you know, given my conditions, I should really not be around people at all. And most of the time, I'm not. Most of the time, I live in solitude and isolation anyway. But I'm a little freaked out and worried about being around people now because of this. And one thing that I have seen is that the majority of you, I think all of you, I haven't seen it at all, none of you have posted photos on Facebook or on social networks of what is going down in your towns, okay? None of you that I've seen has posted pictures from the grocery store or your town or the post office. And what that tells me is that you are staying inside, okay? So I applaud you. Kudos. Well done. Furthermore, in Gettysburg, my buddy the G-Man lives right downtown on the main strip, right in the heart of town, the tourist center. And he said it is a ghost town in Gettysburg. He also was pulled over by the police just after this time of night, and he was told to go home. He lives in an upstairs apartment, and so he was witnessing the downtown, what is normally a very busy street full of tourists every weekend. And he said that he witnessed an old lady getting pulled over by the police, and she was told to go home. He'd witnessed other people in town getting pulled over and given tickets. And he thought it was a little ridiculous, but after I saw what I saw, we should be thanking the police for taking the measures that they have. So, in any event, guys, happy Saturday. I wanted to share what I've seen here in Gettysburg in my very limited, mostly non-social environment. And so that's what I've seen here in Gettysburg. And I hope you all are staying safe, happy, and healthy, and have a very fine rest of your weekend.